All right. Welcome back to the OG Rivals podcast. I am one of your hosts, Myles, the Packer fan on this podcast. I think we've missed the last couple episodes talking about our fandom a little bit. Maybe we can refresh everybody on that. But I am joined by the personally undefeated, my other host of this podcast, Sir Miguel Prado. Sir, congrats on the record, man. You're a solid 3-0 on the picks this season. You got your Bears at 2-1. Got to feel good.
Yeah, I feel good, Miles, and I'm happy. Our listeners are joining here for episode 9. We're chugging
Woo.
along. We're trucking along here with the podcast. You are right. My predictions are 3-0 on the season. I have one fantasy team that's 3-0. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but my Bears are 2-1. And I think our entire division, NFC North, is 2-1. So lots to talk
Go
about.
figure.
I am fighting a little bit of a head cold here, so apologies on how I sound, but you got a remedy for me, don't you?
Do I ever? This bad boy is on its way, sir.
All right.
And for those who have not been listening to us before and are not familiar with what this is armor. This is immune armor. This is what you need going into this season to avoid exactly what Miguel's going through right now. This is our sponsor of this podcast, Life Leaf Remedies. We want y'all to feel better today, and we are building natural remedies to help you do it. We at Life Leaf, we're making effective natural remedies by combining cannabinoids like CBD, CBDA, CBG, CBN, all of these different CBs. There's a bunch of them. And natural vitamins, minerals, and fungi. Shout out to the mushrooms. And we are here to help you take better care of yourself and your family with natural remedies. So if going natural is something that you care about, give us a check out today on the website. Check out the blog. We got a new podcast out there for our customers to tell folks how natural remedies have impacted their lives. So we got a lot of cool stuff going on, and we want to help y'all out. Subscribe and save today. Get free shipping. Get 10% off your order. Nobody can afford to pay for shipping, so don't if you don't have to. And you don't. So get after it, y'all. Check out lifeleafremedies.com and feel better today. Now, sir, what else do they need to do if they're enjoying this podcast?
Well, they definitely need to go to lifeleafremedies.com. I am excited to check the mail here in about a day or so. But if you do enjoy the podcast, make sure you spike that like button, leave us a comment, subscribe, and talk about us at your next tailgate. NFL season, we talk about it day in and day out. We get 17 weeks. I think it was Micah Parsons. He said, what other sport in the world do you have 17 days of the year to go and just show the world what you got? That's what makes football special. That's what makes the NFL special. So make sure you talk about the OG podcast, the rivalry podcast at your next tailgate. We have a lot to jump into here. Before we jump into everything, just want to make one quick call out. I have shared with a couple of our listeners some of the graphic design work that I think is just phenomenal.
Y'all,
And
look at this.
you're showcasing it there. If you're watching on YouTube, Myles, let us know, who to reach out to if we want some just fantastic
Absolutely.
graphic design work done.
Absolutely. We got to give our guy Joel Chapple a shout out. Bum Theory on Instagram. He is a master of design. He has absolutely hooked us up with the new design for the podcast. You're seeing it in the frame too. The frame is new. So big shout out to Joel. If you guys are looking to start your own podcast for whatever reason, and you need some graphic art help like myself and Miguel, because we're not the artistic type, then give Joel a check. The guy is a master. He's as talented as they come, and a really good dude too. A lot of fun to work with. Love him like a brother. So appreciate you, Joel. Thank you, sir, for the work you've done for us. The listeners hopefully will appreciate that as well. And if anybody needs graphic design, please check him out today.
Yes.
Now
And I will
we
say,
got these
creative Genius. Joel, I know you mentioned you love him like a brother. I spent a lot of time working with Joel too. There's a lot of love from my end as well. Just wanted to get a quick shout out to make sure that his work just does not go unnoticed, which is tough not to. It's stunning. I'm a big fan. Every time I get the proofs that come my way, just from having the privilege of being a co-host on this podcast, I get excited. I think Myles, you get all the exclamation points from my end. A lot of exciting text messages back and forth, but giving him the appropriate praise here. Go check him out. Bum Theory on Instagram. Joel does fantastic graphic design work, like you said, podcast and all of the above. Anything that you would need graphic design work for, logo work. Go check out
He
Joel's
did
work.
all the life leaf
Look at
design.
that. Look at that. That's incredible. And one other call out here. I know we talk a lot about our fan traditions. The Bears record's 2-1. On
Yes,
those two
sir.
victories, I've worn the same T-shirt, Miles. So I am wearing. I'm that
You're
T-shirt. It's
stuck.
it's covered in buffalo sauce from some wings that I enjoyed over the weekend with that Bears game and the Packers game. But I will say I'm gonna get those stains out, and it's time to put that shirt to work the rest of the season. I'm not gonna deviate from it until it's proven otherwise.
Now hold on. If you take the stains out, does it still work?
Miles, I'm not gonna be wearing a shirt. I'm not gonna look like a bum, wearing a T-shirt with
Oh
a bunch of
man.
stains on it. I worked hard for those stains. They were delicious wings. And I'll
Yes,
tell you
sir.
tell you what. How did you enjoy the game this weekend, Miles?
Oh man, I was here in the cockpit just like I
All
had
right.
predicted. I got to sit here, watch on my screen, and just have my nice personal view of one of the more stressful games so far. Anytime we're in a stressful game like that, where it is just possession by possession, you don't know who's going to take momentum. I got to be left alone. I can't handle watching those kinds of games with other people, man. It is just it's too much. My blood pressure goes up. I get hypercritical. I'm ready to throw things. I just can't do it. So I got to
Yeah.
stay by myself. And I loved it. Absolutely love pulling out those games. 14-12. And hey, fun factoid here for anybody following along. The last time there was a final score of 14-12, and this may be in prime time, but I think it might just be at all. Do you have any idea when that was, Miguel?
It's ringing a bell, Miles, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
It was one of my darker moments as a Packer fan that we actually have discussed on this podcast.
Uh-oh.
The Seattle Seahawks with the replacement refs,
Yeah, that's what
the
it was.
fail Mary,
The Fail
the
Mary. Yeah,
touchdown
14-12.
or no touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last game to have a final score of 14-12.
That is a good fact,
So
Miles.
go figure.
Yeah. You need to put me in
And
contact
that
with your
may
stats guy because that is a nice little. Is there a truck parked outside? You're getting audio in,
I
in,
can't
in the
reveal my
headphones I'm not
secrets, man.
getting? That's great.
I can't reveal my secrets, but we're a
Yeah.
pretty low budget podcast, right? A second rate, in a Vikings fan's opinion.
It's all right.
So
It's all
probably
right.
not a truck sitting outside.
Second rate's all right. It means we're trying, and so this week, Miles, I was actually not true to myself in how I enjoy the games of watching them at home. I did go to a sports bar. I did.
All
It
right.
was nice and early, 9:30 in the morning here in Southern
Ooh.
California, getting ready for the games. And guess what? Vikings fan comes and sits down right next to me.
Oh, come
So
on.
two TVs. We got the Bears and the Texans on the right side, and we got the Vikings and the Lions on the left. And good guy, we very quickly obviously paid our respects, and you know me,
Okay.
that's how I like to. I'm not going to go in there and start talking
You're a
smack.
respectful
I'm,
guy.
I'm pretty respectful when it comes to other teams, and sure enough, we're watching, and he looks over, and all I could say is, "Hey, it's not the same Lions anymore, huh?" And he goes, "No, they're not. They got the Lions are playing teams tough. It's not showing up quite in the win column, but we do send a lot of flack over to that side of the division with Detroit, and I mean, if you're watching them." rep in and rep out. I mean, they're giving teams a run for their money. This Minnesota fan was sweating. And sure enough, on my screen, lots to talk about too on what we were watching. And it just seems like the age old question: can Chicago get the quarterback position right? And it's just one of those where it's a head scratcher because you want, and I'm speaking rhetorically here for Bears fans, but you want the kid to succeed, you want him to do well. I don't think that he should be immune to criticism. I really don't, but I do feel like I am part of the Bears minority right now. We talk about fans that's just enjoying being 2-1. I mean, lots to dissect and lots to critique, but I mean, you would think the Bears are 0-3. You would think that they're the Las Vegas Raiders, the way that Bears Twitter is just melting down right now. I just want to make sure that we take a step back, pump the brakes. You and I talked about it, Myles. This season is just to see what we got. If we make the
Yeah.
playoffs, I mean, that's a long ways from week 3. But if we make the playoffs, we make the playoffs. If we don't, we don't. I don't think anybody's got them as contenders. Just enjoy the 17 days that we have of football that's on TV.
Yes.
And let's assess Justin Fields, after the season, and along the way, don't get too high on the highs and low on the lows. That's where I'm at as far as the Bears' reaction.
Well, and you said it earlier this season, man. Y'all, some people had y'all going 0-17.
Yeah,
So after that, starting 2-1, just enjoy it,
just
man.
enjoy it.
Shoot, you could go all defeated the rest of the way, and then you're going to look back at this and go, "Shit, man, I didn't even enjoy that 2-1."
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that'll happen, to be totally honest. But no, that's awesome, man. It's fun rooting for each other on this podcast, although it goes against our nature a little bit, being Bears and Packers fans. But yeah, man. As far as the Packers season goes, starting off 2-1. Anybody who's honest with themselves probably had them starting off 2-1. Just based on how they came out the gate slow the last couple seasons, they did it again this season. It seems as though the plan is use the first game as the last preseason game, and I don't think the Packers are the only ones to do that. And obviously we've talked about it a little bit about who played their starters in the preseason and who didn't. But where we sit right now, we've gotten some fun football. Both of us have had good wins here. A couple of disappointing losses, and a bright season in front of us. So, you want to take us through this Bears game this week and tell us what you got here, sir?
Yeah, I think it's worth going into, and exploring the different phases of the game. Off the bat, I mean, let's talk about the quarterback position. A lot of critique coming on the Bears offensive side of the ball, with Justin throwing the ball, I think, 11 times in the football game. Um, a lot of criticism on the lack of passing plays, a lot of criticism on Justin's decision making. I think one of those is fair. I think critiquing Justin's decision making is important, right? I mean, he's throwing a couple interceptions in the game. He's come out and said, "Hey, it's the ball got away from me," and some footage has come out. He throws that pick. He's obviously beating himself up on the sideline. Trevian Simeon building him back up, like, "Hey, man, that's a veteran right there in Trevor Simeon in the NFL," and he's letting him know, "Hey, Justin, we're in the NFL, man. You're gonna some throws are gonna get away from you. You got to pick yourself up, right?" And then, sure enough, Luke Getsy comes in and he's telling his young quarterback, "Justin, I already forgot about that play. I want you to forget about that play," right? Like, so. Do they believe in them or in him? I believe so, right? I believe that this front office and this coaching staff believes that Justin can be that guy. I think Justin just needs to get there himself, right? And I think Chicago's not an easy market to play in for any sport, just because the fans, they are very involved with their teams. It's a very passionate fan base, very critical, very vocal fan base. But I think Justin needs to block out the noise. I think he needs to check in. I think he's doing the right things off the field, right? I mean, when you talk about the type of NFL quarterback that you want, he's putting in the work. No one's questioning the work ethic, the amount of time that he's putting into the film. I just think he needs to go out and have fun. and he's not having fun. And I said this against the Packers. They put the camera on Justin. Nothing about his body language or his, the look on his face tells me that that's a quarterback or a football player that's out there having fun. And so that's what
Yeah.
I want. I want him to just kind of take a load off and just sling it. Keep making mistakes. I'm not mad about the interceptions. I want him to throw the ball. And right now, it just seems like he's second guessing if he should throw the ball. An example is on a third down play in the first quarter. He rolls out and scrambles for 29 yards. And in the moment, you're thinking, great, we just picked up 29 yards. But then as the play breaks down, and you're starting to see what was open to him, and he could have had Khalil Herbert run for those 29 yards on a
Yeah.
just quick check down. Lots of green in front of Khalil, and we can talk about the impact Khalil had in rushing the ball, but Justin didn't let go of the ball. And I think he needs to trust his playmakers a little bit. And you and I talked about it. Don't want to get long winded there. That's my critique on JF1. Any thoughts on the young quarterback, Myles?
Well, we talk about it a lot, man. What makes a good quarterback is good decision making. We've seen powerful arms come and go in the NFL, and it just doesn't make a difference if you can't make the right decisions. Or, I think what you're really getting into is his, poise, composure. When you go off on a third down and you rip off a 29-yard run, that's cool, but I want to see that just ice cold composure where you are so locked in that running is not an option until you have absolutely analyzed your other options and they're not available. And I think that what can happen, especially to young quarterbacks, is you get in the heat of the competition and your decision making ability kind of shuts down as your brain panics a little bit. Not to say that he's, you know, panicked in a sense that he's, running for his life, he's scared, but your decisions are rushed. You're not as calculated and able to make those decisions the way that you want to. And so yeah, I think you just want to see him slow the game down. You want to see him anticipate more. I think that's what the best quarterbacks out there do. They know where their guys are, they know how they exist within the concept and within the defensive scheme in front of them, and they're able to anticipate where they can throw into windows. A lot of people give Rodgers so much credit for these amazing throws that he makes. They look amazing as they unfold. But Rodgers doesn't ever make a throw saying, "I'm putting this through the eye of the needle." He doesn't. That's not what he's doing. He's seeing a window and he's throwing into it, and it happens to be that defenders close that window almost enough to where it looks like he's threading the needle. But when he threw it, that's not what was happening. When he threw it, he was anticipating a window, and that's what you want. You want quarterbacks doing that. I think that Justin Fields has the ability to do that. I mean, he's got all the tools. We've talked about that. He seems like a really, sharp young man. He doesn't seem like he's distracted with, things like guys like Johnny Manziel and all of that. There's a lot of attention and ego involved. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. So I think it's just a matter of, let the young man get comfortable. Like what you were saying with the rest of Chicago. Y'all just pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Let the young man develop. Let's see how his decision making evolves over the season before you're ready to throw him to the wolves.
Absolutely. And here's some intangibles that I think is important to consider and why I am not anywhere near ready to hit the panic button yet, Miles, is the locker room is 100% behind Justin Fields. Right? You ask anybody
That
in the
means
locker
something.
room, and Justin's our guy. We're following him into battle any day of the week. He's still commanding that huddle. He's still commanding the sideline and commanding the pregame hype, warm up, the game speech. Right, we're going into the football game, getting guys ready to go. Team's still bought into Justin, so I think that is,
Yeah,
if it wasn't the case, Miles, I would have a completely different tone.
that would be different.
Number two,
Yeah,
right, the coaching staff, Eberflus and Luke Getzey both come out, and it's just refreshing because they understand what's at stake, and they understand that there's a psychological piece at play here, and what they want to do is preserve that psychological confidence of their quarterback, and they can do that and say the right things, or they can be like in Minnesota when they're asking the head coach about Kellen Mond, and why aren't we seeing more Kellen Mond? And well, I see Kellen Mond every day. I don't need to say anything more. That if I was Kellen Mond, that would
That's not
completely
good.
take the wind out of my sails, right? So I think
Yeah.
why I use that example is because the contrast is what we're seeing in Chicago with Luke Getsy's like, man, I'm not panicking. I got Justin Fields under center.
No.
Eberflus, same thing. And if they don't feel that behind the scenes, that's a different story. That's on, that's for them as coaches to work out, sort through, figure it out. But at least in the public eye, I think right now it's worth pumping the brakes. The Bears have a nice matchup coming up against the New York Giants, where if you're going to to help your quarterback work through some confidence issues, I think that's a team where you can do that. And I think that Luke Getsy can do that with his play
Mhm.
calling and slowing some of the game down for Justin. And I said this last week, and it almost sounds like a broken record, but it's like start the game off with some really easy, high percentage throws, right? Like a screen or two, and
Mhm.
roll Justin out. Let him take some contact. If he's your franchise guy, there's a lot of different philosophies here on whether you should run him or not. I think he needs to kind of just mix it up a little bit, get those butterflies out of there, and then go into your game plan. So that's what I want to see with the quarterback position. Don't want to put all the time there. It's obviously a paramount type of position. It
Well, that's where the
commands.
spotlight is
It's a
right now.
spotlight.
If
It
ever,
commands a
that's where the
spotlight.
attention is.
But
Yeah.
another reason why I am not panicking, and we talked about this a little bit, just having a conversation, you and I, Myles, is the Bears rushing attack, which I think is an indication Luke Getsy knows what he's doing. Luke Getsy knows exactly what he's doing. And obviously with the Bears offensive line, they're rated as a top 10 unit in the league, which is something you and I wouldn't have guessed in the preseason. The Bears offensive
No.
line's efficiency on passing plays and running plays right now is in the top 10 in the NFL. So can they get better? Yes, 100%. And I'll be the first one to say exactly where the center position on the Bears offensive line. It needs to get better. We know what's going on there with Lucas Patrick and Sam Mustipher. That's going to sort itself out. In the meantime, there's some promising play in the running game. Why I say that is because the Bears are the second leading rushing team in the NFL today. As we're having this conversation, we're recording. They're ranked number 2 in the NFL in rushing yards. And
Gosh.
so I think that, across the division, there's a lot of really good running backs. I think that putting that together, offensive line and running back play, and I was very vocal in the preseason. I want to see more from Khalil Herbert. Boy, he comes in and and
Yep.
he comes in for David Montgomery, who tweaked an ankle and a knee that you hate to see. Um,
Yep.
but he gives you a performance where you're raising some eyebrows and saying, "Wow, the Bears have something here with their number 2 guy." Um, he put up on the season. Khalil Herbert has 240 rushing yards on 33 attempts. The Bears as a unit have 560 yards over the 3 games with 104 attempts. So yes, they're a high rush volume team, but they are also leading in categories like average per carry, which we said,
Yep. That's important.
week one was abysmal. So you got to think week one was abysmal when the Bears weren't running the ball effectively. So really in two
Yeah.
games, they've just put up 560 rushing yards because I believe David Montgomery was averaging about a yard and a half per carry week one. So you got to think about what's
Yeah. It was
happened
not good.
over the last 2 weeks. And this tells me Luke Getsy is a student of the game. He is learning as he's going, right? Guess what we didn't see in week 3, Myles? We didn't see shotgun on the 1 yard line. We saw Justin Fields under center, handing the ball off, 2 tight end sets, putting that ball into the defense, the opposing defense's gut. I just, it's hard to critique the offense when they're running the ball effectively, which
Yeah.
and we said this if it was another story and the Bears were dead last in rushing yards, dead last in offense, dead last in passing yards, it's a
Totally
whole
different.
different offense. But they're running the ball really well this year.
Now, the names that Khalil Herbert is sitting amongst right now, I would have lost a lot of money betting against him on that. He is right behind Christian McCaffrey in rushing yards and right in front of Devondre Swift, James Robinson, Leonard Fournette, Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry. Are you kidding me?
In two
I would have
weeks.
bet I would have bet all my well, technically we're 3 weeks in. If at the beginning of this season you said, "Hey man, Khalil Herbert is going to have more rushing yards through 3 weeks than Derrick Henry," I would have laughed you off this podcast and I would have lost a lot of money betting with you.
Yeah. Well, you talked about
So yeah,
my
man.
predicting power. I have Khalil Herbert rostered in every fantasy league that I'm in. Come on, Myles.
Sometimes the bias pays, man. Sometimes
Sometimes,
the bias pays.
the reality is, I'm gonna discredit that fact because I picked him strictly on the fact that he was a handcuff for David Montgomery. But
Oh, hey, there you go. Yeah.
if you talk about week 3 and the must add waiver wire picks on fantasy teams, Khalil Herbert, uh, you know, I'm sure a lot of people in my leagues were looking to pick him up and were probably a little discouraged when they realized that he was sitting on my team. So, but yeah, you're 100% right. Who saw this coming?
That's why we love the NFL, isn't it?
Love it, love it.
You just never know what's going to happen. We always, every week we overreact. After week 1, I wanted to throw Aaron Rodgers in the garbage. That's not true, but I was mad at him. There's just all sorts of things that we want to say after 1 week, after 2 weeks. We just got to let things play out because what actually is going to happen most of the time we never could have predicted, and that's why it's so much fun.
Yeah, and you can fact check me here, Myles, because there's a lot. Like I said, critique is not lacking this week on the Bears. I believe the Bears have put up more points than the Packers overall.
Probably.
Yeah,
I guess I don't think I can fight you on that. Trying to think. They put up 7 week 1, 14 week 2. How many did we score against the Bears?
I think it's a
Can't
quick
even remember the
search.
score of that
So
game
I'll
now.
look it up. But why
But
don't you
yeah,
give us a
so I mean,
rundown
yeah,
of the
I don't have a
Packers?
hard time believing that. Yeah, man. So the Packers 2-1. You got to be excited about that if you're a Packers fan. If you're mad about week 1, get over it and quit making this season miserable. This is football season. We're supposed to be having fun here. So yeah, takeaways from that game are number one, Quay Walker, y'all. Come on, this guy. He is a beast. He is everything you want from a first round pick. Guy came in and has made an immediate impact. We talked about it last week where, with the goal line stand with Justin Fields, and yeah, there was a controversial play, but the play before that, Quay Walker made a play that a Packers linebacker didn't make in the past. So he comes in there today, or comes in there again this week, still making plays, flying around, forcing fumbles. I mean, the guy is a monster. I am so excited as a Packers fan to have a linebacker like that we have been just starved for decades now, really. I mean, there have been some flashes of decent linebackers in the Packers recent years. Nick Barnett was a first round pick, and he was still there in the 2010 Super Bowl, but he didn't play that season. He was on IR, and then you didn't see him after that. He was gone. So even then, that was your last first round middle linebacker that you had. Well, not your last one. You had AJ Hawk too, but he's kind of an average guy. Filled in, but he wasn't an all-pro. He wasn't a guy that was making splash plays that got you excited. And it wasn't just Quay Walker. It was Devondre Campbell sealing the game with that giant jump to tip the ball and keep the Patriots out of the end zone for the 2-point and seal the game. I mean, that you can't ask for any more from your linebackers. I am so excited about this defense going down there, going toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay. Now, I get it. Tom Brady was handcuffed without all of his receivers. That's fine. You have to play the game that's in front of you, and you did that. You held him to 12 points. You held Leonard Fournette. You held Tom Brady, who I said could go out there and beat you with people who were working at Target this week. You did exactly what you needed to do as a defense, and another name that needs to be called because it wasn't on Sunday um, is oh man, Eric Stokes. Guy was locked in. I believe there was only one target. His direction was a catch for like 6 yards, and that was it on 50 defensive or on 50 passing plays. I think it was something like that. Eric Stokes was in absolute lockdown mode and took care of his assignment. It's exactly what you want because before, the more recent stinging memory of Scotty Miller burning Kevin King with 7 seconds left in the half is now gone. I can wash that away and not have to worry about that anymore. But yeah, so that was awesome. I love the defensive performance, and as a part of that, the special teams.
Yes.
We got receipts, y'all. I told you coming out of the preseason. Relax. Relax. And what do we have this week? You got your punter winning special teams player of the week, which I thought was hilarious that a lot of Packers fans on Twitter didn't realize was a thing.
Yeah.
We've been so starved for special teams performance, we didn't even realize that there was a special teams player of the week. So lots to celebrate there. I think that before you even get to the obvious ones, Aaron Rodgers and the offense, the defense and the special teams went down there and they took care of business, and that to me was the most exciting thing to watch as a Packer fan. And then the third thing that had to be maybe at the top of most people's list. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? I'll tell you where. You're in the end zone, sir.
Yes,
You are
sir.
also in the history books. Do you know the last time a Packers rookie caught 8 catches in a game?
Antonio Freeman. That's a wild guess.
Yeah, it wasn't Devontae Adams. I'll tell you that. And I actually I can't remember who it was. I know
Oh,
it might have
Myles.
actually, it might have been Antonio. No. I think it was Sterling Sharp. I believe it
Okay.
was Sterling Sharp. Anyway, regardless, it's been a long time since a Packers rookie has caught 8 passes in a game. And the other thing, this kid lights out, man. He's what you want from a pro. He doesn't look like a rookie. He doesn't carry himself like a rookie. He's dialed in. Aaron Rodgers loves him. You can't ask for more higher praise than that. So I'm pumped, and just the nice cherry on top, the young man won Rookie of the Week. So we got a couple
Yeah.
players of the week there from the squad. We got to be excited, y'all. We got to be very, very excited about the pieces that are coming together. Are you going to have things go wrong the rest of the season? Yes, things are going to go wrong. Is Aaron Rodgers going to throw another interception? He might throw one more. But point is, there's a lot to be excited about. And it's not against a team where you're talking about, well, are they actually any good? You didn't go beat up on the Sisters of the Poor. You went out there against a legitimate team, and again, you can say Brady was handcuffed. That's fine. That defense is one of the best in the league. Period. The end. And you went out, and you took care of business and won the game. That's what you had to do. That's what I said in the last week. I said, go out there, don't get beat by bums, and take care of business. And if you lose a close one, fine, but you should win a close, ugly one, and that's what they did. So very, very excited about what I saw in that game. And we talked a lot about the Bears offense, sir, but I believe you were pretty excited about some of the defensive players as well, weren't
Yeah,
you?
I was, and I want people, our listeners here, to feel special because we're giving you week in week out, and it looks like really accurate predictions for the type of games we're calling them close. Hey, we said they're going into Tampa. It's going to be a black and blue type game. 14-12. What's that? I mean, that screams black and
That's
blue
it.
type game. And I don't care if you're Tom Brady or if you're Lamar Jackson, when the opposing team special teams giving you the ball at the 1 yard line, um, you know, 99 yards on an NFL Sunday, going downfield, marching downfield is no walk in the park. It's
No.
essentially your and correct me if I'm wrong here, Myles, your main priority, your main goal when you're on the 1 yard line, on your 1 yard line, is not a first down. It's don't turn the ball over. Right. It's hey,
Right.
let's go ahead and try and flip field position here. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tip of the cap. from me to Pat O'Donnell, who did get NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, and I think he even gave a nod to his Gunners, which I love to see as being a team guy myself. But then also, you're right when we're talking about the Bears defense, and you mentioned, hey, the Packers defense is a contending defense. They're a top unit in the league. Don't sleep on the Bears D, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
Roquan Smith and Eddie Jackson have a revival going on here. And can you attest this to being a testament to the Eberflus system? I believe so. I believe coaching has a big deal here. But Roquan had an interception that seals the victory for, well, not seals it, but gives the Bears an opportunity to kick that game-winning field goal. And Eddie Jackson has an interception in the back of the end zone that keeps obviously the opposing team, the Texans, out of off the score sheet. So big plays there. No no shock here. Roquan leads the NFL in tackles. So you talk
Whew.
about Quay Walker and having a linebacker like him. I think the Bears. Roquan Smith is just one of those guys who we talked about all offseason, all preseason about, is he going to be a Bear? Is he not going to be a Bear? We talked about him buying in and his pregame speeches to the team and him stepping up as a leader. He's not only a leader in that locker room, he's a leader on the stat sheet. Obviously week 3. And I think when we're in this part of the season, Myles, where we're going into week 4, it's tough to point to stats, right? Because it's like, hey, look at this guy's leading the league here. Let's talk about it in a few weeks. But it doesn't take
Yeah.
away from the fact that he is leading the NFL in tackles. He's sitting up there tied at 36 right now. Um, and that Bears unit, second week in a row, or second week this season where they have multiple sacks. So when
That's
you
important.
that's important. They're putting pressure on the
Yep.
quarterback, which helps your young secondary. You have obviously the linebackers that are playing, and I talked about this after the Packers game. Is Roquan is playing for that contract, so he's playing. He's not necessarily um, cheating on plays, but he's trying to jump plays for the turnover, which takes away
Mm-hmm.
from playing discipline, which obviously you can give up bigger plays, etc. But we saw that turnover this week. He jumped that route, underneath route. Davis Mills was trying to fit in there in the fourth quarter, trying to drive downfield for the win, and he jumps it and gets rewarded there. And I
Yep.
think I think he needs to play with that chip on his shoulder moving forward. But yeah, that Bears defense is one that might not be a top 5 unit, might not be a Super Bowl contending defense, but I think that they are playing fast, and I wouldn't want to line up against the Bears D. They have a test obviously this week with Saquon Barkley, who's just running lights out. I think that's the matchup I'm keeping an eye on this week, Myles. I think that's the matchup that determines the win or loss this week, is the Bears D versus that New York David DeBall rushing attack.
Yeah, Saquon, man, he's looking like his old self now.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a tough task.
which good. I like that because I mean Saquon at Penn State, it's just one of those is like Reggie Bush at USC, right? Where it's just
Yeah.
like it was a man amongst boys when he was running the
Yeah.
ball. And seeing him kind of get back to that is special. I will say this, Myles. I don't know if you saw Sterling Shepard, no contact ACL tear on that MetLife
Those are the
turf.
worst,
That
man.
scares me. Bears obviously going into New York this weekend. That turf is scaring me. Is anything on your mind for this week?
Well, I mean, look, we're playing the Patriots this week. Anytime you're going up against Bill Belichick, you're gonna have a day. Now, certainly they don't look like they used to, but you cannot ignore uh, a Bill Belichick team. You just can't do it. And I need to give the man a nod because I think that he's already playing 4D chess.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if
I
he
know.
came
I know what
out.
you're talking about here.
You know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah, I know exactly what
So
you're
it
talking
is
about.
in his press conference, he comes out and he knows a thing or two about his opponent. He knows that he's coming to Lambeau Field, and in his press conference, he comes out and is nothing but complimentary towards Rodgers and towards the Packers and the history of the team and all of that. And I saw right through that, man. He knows exactly what happens when you start stroking the ego of the Packers. That anytime they're favored, anytime they're talked up going into the week, that they're better, they're the favorite, they should win decisively, they fall flat. He knows that. So he is not going to give them any sort of chip on their shoulder. He's not going to give them any kind of,
Advantage, momentum,
what do you call it? Bulletin
bulletin
board
material.
material. He's going to be nothing but complimentary. And I expect the same from his strategy, his game strategy, his game plan. Whether he's got Hoyer or Jones at quarterback doesn't matter. I think that you can expect a lot of your run game, a lot of your quick dink and dunk passes with the expectation for yards after catch, and I think you're always going to get a very tough defense from the Patriots. And one thing that the Patriots do a fantastic job of on defense is taking away a threat. So if you have a very obvious threat, they are happy to give you something else and say, beat us with that, but you're not going to beat us with this guy. My question is, who's it going to be? Who's the threat that they try to take away? I think probably it's Aaron Jones. If I had to, if you forced me to pick one, it's probably Aaron Jones. But Romeo Dobbs is obviously demanding some respect. Alan Lazard, don't you dare think Belichick is overlooking that guy. I know plenty of fans like to overlook Alan Lazard because he's not a first round pick and whatever. I guess that's the only thing that matters these days. The guy is one of the better receivers in the league. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a top 5, top 10, but he is the best blocking receiver in the league, and I will die on that hill. And you had Aaron Rodgers on McAfee this week say he's one of the smartest players in the league. That's a huge compliment, I'd say, coming from Aaron Rodgers. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Belichick try to take away Lazard, or somehow neutralize his impact blocking for the run game. But I think you got another dogfight on your hands now. Again, the Patriots, they're capable of getting beat. They're not the unbeatable team that they used to be. But I'm certainly not sleeping on this game. I am excited for it. It's at Lambeau, so I do have a degree of confidence in the team's ability to come out and take care of business. But I'm looking for the same formula. Come out, get the ball going on the ground, get yourself some high percentage plays, kind of like what you're talking about. Get out there, give these guys, Romeo Dobbs, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, give them yard after catch opportunities and just get some rhythm and momentum going. You need to win this game. This might be a close one, depending on how well the Patriots offense can come out. But you have to take care of business on the offensive side of the ball, and you cannot let the Patriots hang around. So I think that the Packers do have a significant advantage on the defense against the Patriots offense, especially with question marks at the quarterback. They go out there, they take care of business. I think this one maybe isn't as close as the previous games have been. I'm going to say we got a 10-point game on our hands here. I'll say 24-14. Packers win a good one here at home. How about you? What are we looking at here? What's your prediction going in there in New York?
Yeah. Want to make one quick correction. So I said David the ball. It's Brian. The ball is the
Gotcha.
head
Yeah,
coach up in New
there we
York
go.
for our listeners following at home. Myles, I agree with your assessment and prediction here with the Green Bay game. I just quick thoughts here. Not the same Patriots team, still the same Belichick, right? Like
Yeah.
just get that out there, and you have to account for that. I think the Packers will account for that. I think that you're giving the Patriots probably a little bit more credit than I would on the final score prediction. I think that you know I would be surprised if they go into Lambeau and put up more than 10 points, especially if Brian Hoyer is playing, only because that Packers defense, I think, is too much to overcome at home. And then also you got to think about, we just talked about it, that special teams unit that's pinning teams back deep in their own territory,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so now you gotta march up field, and you're playing in hostile territory. I don't care if it's Bill Belichick that's on the sideline. That's tough to do, right? And so I
Yeah.
think that's going to be a win for the Packers, probably a little bit more comfortable than the 10 points you're giving. In New York, it's the early game. It's going to be the noon or the 1 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. It's going to be 10 a.m. my time, so it's an early morning game for me. And I think that this game, like I said earlier, comes down to the rushing attack on both sides of the ball. I think that we're going to see probably a game where the passing game is attempted to open up. If it opens up for the Bears, I mean, that's going to be what everybody wants. But if that happens, I think that's the question mark. That is the $1 million question: is can Justin Fields find that confidence? Can he find that rhythm? If he does, it's a no contest. Bears walk away from this as a winning team. If it comes down to just rushing attack, I think that the Giants, they're hungry. I don't think that their Daniel Jones situation is one that I would want to be a part of at all. And I think it's kind of crazy that they passed up on a quarterback in that 2021 NFL draft, because they believe that he is the guy. This is one, Myles, that could go either way. I'm going to be a homer here and say that the Bears walk away from this one with a W. I think that they score 21 points. I think that there is a defensive touchdown in there, and I think that they win this game 21-14. Bears. So my prediction is that they will be 3-1 after this game. But that's in line with where looking at the 4 games on the schedule. It's just not a tough schedule for the NFC North this year, and this is across the board for the
Yeah.
Lions, the Vikings, the Packers, the Bears. It's not a tough schedule. So some of these games that they're winning, I mean, you want to win them, but should the Bears win this game on paper? I believe so.
Yeah, I'm looking for a close one here, man, because the Giants look a little stronger than I gave them credit for coming into the season. And they don't look. They're not like the Eagles. Yeah, I got egg on my face with the Eagles. I was not a believer in the Eagles coming into the season. I was calling fool's gold on that offense. I'm wrong so far. Happy to be wrong. It's a lot of fun to watch teams like that, but no, I think the Giants are going to be a tough test. I think that y'all handled the Texans well. You had them at home, but going to New York, being on the road, that goes one of two ways. There are players that like playing on the road. I actually, when I was playing, I liked playing on the road. I always thought that we were more focused on the road. Now small college football. I'm not like trying to flex like I was in the NFL or something, but it's kind of the psychology of it, which I'm speaking to. And when you're on the road, you're with your guys. You're in the hotel room. You're not going anywhere. You're not seeing anybody else. You get the team dinner in and all of that. So it could be a very uniting experience for them there. But I'm definitely looking for a close one. And I gotta say, man, I in my NFL pick'em this week, I got to this game and I did not know which way to go. I was talking myself out of my anti-Bears bias, just trying to convince myself that they'll come in and win this game. I think this game gets away from them. I think that Saquon scores a couple more points than Fields is able to keep up with. I'm going to call it a 3-point game. Just based on how both of these teams have played so far, neither one of them, is putting up tons of points. So I don't think that we're going to get into the 30s with either of these teams. I think probably a 20-17 bruiser. And I'm critical of people who always are calling for a 20-17 game. I feel like that's sort of a cop out, but I mean that's where I feel this game is at right now. I feel like it's a really close one. Each team gets a couple of scores. A field goal probably makes the difference in the game. So yeah, I'll call it 2017 Giants. Would not be surprised to see the Bears win the game though.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, Miles, is that before the what was it, the Monday night game that was New York and Dallas, um, I wasn't feeling too great about this matchup, especially after watching the Bears' offensive performance on specifically the passing game. Um, but boy, I mean, New York did everything to lose that game to Dallas. They did everything to lose that game to
Yeah.
Dallas. And that I mean, that was I mean, the Bears get their fair share of criticism for being on prime time. Golly, that matchup. I mean, this year primetime games have definitely shown that, it might not just be a Chicago thing. It might just be, people they're putting Russell Wilson on primetime. What's going on with Russell? I mean, they're putting, these divisional matchups, which I think that's where the NFL kind of shoots itself in the foot, is because divisional games, unless you're in the AFC West, they're always tough games, right? They're always tough
Yeah.
games, but I'm kind of going on a tangent here, so bear with me. The NFL viewership this season, Miles, is astronomical. There's nothing on TV that's bringing in the amount of views that these early New York, was it Chicago and Houston, that you're telling yourself no one besides Miguel is watching this game. They're bringing in like
That's not true.
no, they're bringing in like 3 million viewers, Miles. Like, it's unbelievable, like, how many people are watching the NFL. Um, but I say all of this to kind of come back to my point is watching that Monday night game is what gave me the confidence to come on this podcast and say Chicago wins this game. Should they win this game? Yes. Will they? That's where that's the 50-50 for me. Um, because New York showed on that Monday night game that they're a beatable team. I think they were 2-0 going into the matchup. But it's early in the season and a lot can change, obviously, from those 2-0 records. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's why I say that the Bears go in there. They should handle business, less because of Justin Fields and more because of the coaching staff. I like Eberflus. I like Luke. I like how Luke Getzey, and I said this earlier in this episode, is he is showing that he's learning along the way. Um, and that's something that I am excited to see, is just how much he learns from week to week. I anticipate that Luke Getzey won't be on the Bears coaching staff in as early as 2 years, just because his head coaching time is coming up soon. And who's it going to be with? I
Yeah.
mean, we don't know, but it's just exciting to see that the evolution and him continuing to go on that trajectory towards that head coach position. And he's showing it to the NFL as, hey, I'm willing to learn from my mistakes week in and week out. Um, so that's why I'm excited for this week. We're just both, I think, very happy that we're not the Las Vegas Raiders, huh?
Oh man, I can think of one person who's not happy that he is a Las Vegas Raider.
Yeah, Devontae,
Um,
boy. Oh, geez. Oh my
Yikes.
gosh.
And then he's out here taking shots at the Green Bay people are gonna do that. Sorry, sir. 99%, and credit to Aaron Nagler. I'm not taking his little rant and copying it. But 99% of the Green Bay fan base was happy for Devontae. We're not sitting here going, F you, man, you should have stayed. We get it. You wanted to go there for personal reasons, and that's cool. You played great football for the Packers. So I'm not sitting here to compare, to keep score, to say you should have stayed, you should have gone, whatever it is.
I'll say it.
That finger needs to be pointed at the media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll say
And
it,
it can be
Miles.
said.
I'll say it.
Hey,
Grass is always
anybody
greener
who
on the
wants to
other
say
side,
it.
man. It's always greener on the other side.
Anybody who wants to say it, I'm happy to hear it. But no, that's not what the Green Bay people are doing right now, Devontae. If you're somehow magically listening to this, it'll never happen. But yeah, that is pretty funny that's going on, and I'm sure that it'll all come out in the wash. The guy's gonna have a good season. Will the Raiders make the playoffs? Probably not. Not starting 0-3. You got a long road to recover from if you're gonna do that.
Not in that division. Not in that division. No, no.
What a weird thing to say about the AFC West.
Yeah. Jeez.
But no, the what you were saying about Luke Getzey is actually probably a decent segue into something that I think that we need to revisit from earlier in this podcast's history here. We were week to week talking about these receiver rooms against each other, and I just wanted to go visit the scoreboard, sir. How are we
Yeah.
feeling about the Bears receivers room against the Packers receivers room right now?
I mean, foot in mouth moment. I mean, well, let's talk about it. And I think, if anything, if our listeners can appreciate, it's that I'm not going to be one that has too much ego or pride to say, "Hey, I misfired here." Boy, did I had way too much stake in that wide receiver room. A lot of unproven guys, and I was really riding high on the reports that were coming out that Darnell Mooney just looked absolutely lights out with his route running and separation in camp. Um, and I think I have a little note here of just what wide receiver room in Chicago, right? I mean, it's one where, and this isn't a knock to them, right? Like I didn't mean that to be an insult to the Bears wide receivers. It's just this year the guys that they brought in to be impactful, and Kill Harry, IR. Brian Pringle just came out. He's on IR. He's done for the year. Pack it up. And he was a quote unquote key free agent signing by the Poles team. Um, they go out and they sign Reggie Robertson Jr. to the practice squad this week. So outside of Equanimous St. Brown, which I am a fan of, I'm a big fan of this guy. He's just playing how they need him to play. But here's who they have, Myles. They have Darnell Mooney, Dante Pettis, Equanimous St. Brown, right? Anybody beyond that, I mean, Velus Jones Jr., um, he has this hamstring that he's dealing with, and they didn't put him on IR coming out of camp. And you would think, okay, that means that they think that he's coming back before week 4. Well, it's week 4, right? He's just getting on the practice field. So,
Yeah, and I
uh,
saw the thing about visualization and all that. It's like, come on, man.
yeah.
Let- Let's
Well,
let's get
he's
it together here.
manifesting it. If you ask him, I'm manifesting
We'll
helping
see.
Justin Fields. So,
You're gonna have to
well,
get on the field to manifest something.
yeah, but I don't have it in me to knock a guy for being hurt. So I'm just rooting for him to come in, and I'll tell you where I feel like he needs to make his impact, even if it's just this year. It's the return game. I mean, the Bears, and this is one of those anomaly in sports and statistics. I think the Bears, like Tristan Ebner's like leading the league in return yards. But it's, and I think I've said this on this podcast. It's like watching Tristan Ebner return kicks is maddening. I don't know if it's just like his indecisiveness or his lack of game speed. You know how some people just run better 40 times than they play. Um, the
Mm-hmm.
guy just looks like
Jerry
he's got
Rice.
brick feet, he's got like concrete feet or something when he's returning it. And so that's why I say like that is this an anomaly in statistics because he's leading the league in return yards. But um, I want Velas to come in and just change that and give the Bears that X factor in the return game. And I think that he does that. I think Dante Pettis is a placeholder returning kicks. But that tells you the state of the Bears wide receiver room. I mean, you asked me about it, and I had to go down the line of like, dude, we need wide receivers to return some kicks here. Um, it's not good. It's not looking good, and I'm willing to concede that Green Bay has a better group right now.
Yes, so we have a new guest joining us here on the show as a
Expert.
surprise, as you can all see. We needed to call in one of our experts because we're sitting here talking about a controversial topic with the receiver rooms and everything, and she had a lot to say. So she wanted to let Miguel know how wrong he was
I'm
to
sorry.
jump out in front.
I'm sorry.
But no, it's a fun topic, and I think that it's certainly not at rest yet. And this leads us into our Twitter poll. We asked the Twitterverse, all 7 of them, who is the better receiving room, and the smartest folks are probably the ones who said it's still too early to tell. The Packers receivers are off to a good start, no doubt about it. Love what we're seeing from Dobbs. Love what we're seeing from Lazard. Even Cobb, man, he's getting first downs like he always has. He joined the 500 catch club in Green Bay. I don't know if anybody else caught that. That is a very exclusive club that I think there's only 8 total guys that have done that. So yeah, I'm very excited about the Packers receiving room right now where it's at. There is a certain Cowboys fan that I would like to acknowledge that I was not crazy for being so excited about this Packers receiving room. He wanted to just turn me over and cook me, man, for saying that I'm not worried about this Packers receiving room. Well, here we are. We're doing all right, aren't we? And we don't even have Christian Watson out there doing everything that he can yet.
So
So
you
I think
obviously
there's
were part
still
of the Packers response there on the poll on who has the better room.
I
Uh,
might have thrown my own vote in there. Yeah.
I will say this. I will
Um,
say this. Not one vote for the Bears room. It was about a 70-30 split. Packers, and then 30% was the too early to tell. I'm just very excited to have our first guest on the show. Look at that. That's exciting. Um, couldn't do it without the family support. So I'm happy to have our first
not
guest,
at
and she
all.
seems to be super happy about it.
Yeah, she's always happiest after she wakes up. So
All
we're
right.
in good shape right now, as long as we keep something in her hand that keeps her busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about the Packers receiving room and some of these other things, one thing, and I'm not even going to bring this up for you, the your side of the street. We've acknowledged it. You just you graciously owned your Bears receiving room opinion. And but I would like to ask the rest of the league to clean up their side of the street and quit with the Packers get all the calls nonsense, y'all. If you weren't watching that Buccaneers game, you missed a complete display of the Packers not getting all the calls. They didn't get hardly any of the calls. I felt like Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark were in a chokehold the whole game. My God, we talk about some of the most egregious calls against between the Packers and the Bears, and there were some bad ones that were not made. The refs totally made up for it with the Buccaneers in that game. So just want to ask the rest of the league, y'all, get your side of the street cleaned up. Enough with the Packers get all the calls nonsense. Refs miss calls every week. We've already said it. We've had the conversation. It happens. You got to hope that it doesn't come down to that. You got to hope that your team plays well enough that the refs' calls don't have an impact on the outcome. And so that's what the Packers did. Love seeing it. I don't want to sit here and complain about those calls. I've made my point, and it's going to happen again. They're going to miss calls again on the Packers. They're going to miss calls on other teams. It's just going to happen. These refs aren't perfect. And we could probably have a whole segment about, are the refs getting worse?
Oh, they're
They
getting
might
bad.
be getting worse.
They're bad. The only reason why I won't agree with you here, Miles, is because if there's one individual that will always get the call, it's Tom Brady. And the
Yeah, well,
NFL,
that's
the
fair.
NFL, Tom Brady's the NFL's poster boy, golden child. So I would say the verdict's still out there that Green Bay gets all the calls. If there's one team where they won't get the calls, it's against Tom Brady and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, but I will say this: I'm looking forward to feeling better here soon. You want to give us our sign off with who our sponsor is?
Absolutely, man. Like I said, we got your armor on the way. Y'all armor up. It's the season. We got a little QR code there if you want to take your chance to scan that and see what we got behind it. But yeah, get yourself some immune armor. You got the fall coming around. You got these kids going to school and bringing all their big germs back with them. If your immune system is not strong, you're not going to be able to fight the big germs. They're going to win the fight. So get over to lifeleafremedies.com right now, y'all. Subscribe, save on shipping. Don't pay for shipping. If you don't like the product, just go unsubscribe. You're in full control of that. You don't have to go through a bunch of nonsense phone calls and people trying to talk you out of not subscribing. Just go in there, log in. You can unsubscribe anytime you're ready to. Get the free shipping, get the 10% off your order, get your armor, and get all of your natural remedies taken care of so that you can take better care of yourself and your family.
I love
And
it.
sir, What else they got to
I
do if they're
love it.
enjoying this thing?
Well, if they're enjoying it, please go ahead and spike that like button, leave us a comment, subscribe, and talk about us at your next tailgate. Episode
Woo!
9, first guest on the episode.
First
First
guest
guest. Couldn't be more excited about
in the
that.
books.
We'll sign off with a nice little go Bears and bear down.
Go pack, go. Feel better today, y'all.